April 26, 1986. 7:43 a.m. Pripyat, Ukrainian SSR. 18-year-old Dmitri Volkov stood at his bedroom window, watching a sparrow spiral downward through morning light that looked wrong, too bright, too clean, like the air itself had been scrubbed with chemicals. The bird hit the concrete courtyard 3 floors below without attempting to correct its fall. No flutter, no desperate wing beat, just descent and impact. Dmitri counted 7 more birds on the pavement. Pigeons, mostly. 1 crow. They hadn't been there yesterday. His mother called from the kitchen about breakfast getting cold, her voice carrying that sharp edge she reserved for mornings when his father worked night shifts. The radio played folk music. Outside, he could see other apartment windows glowing warm with Sunday routines. Families moving behind curtains, unaware or unconcerned that the sky was killing things. A woman watered flowers on her balcony. 2 floors down, neighbors kicked a football against the building wall, their shouts echoing upward in the strange metallic air. Dmitri pressed his palm against the window glass. It felt warm. Not sun-warm, something else. Everything appeared normal. That was the first lie. In 12 hours, the radiation levels in Pripyat would reach 600 Zaran times normal background radiation. In 36 hours, evacuation buses would arrive. Too late for many, early enough for some. In the days between, approximately 49, Zaran residents would continue their routines, breathing contaminated air, drinking poisoned water, walking through invisible fields of particles that settled on clothing and skin like frost. The window of survival depended entirely on information that wasn't being shared, patterns that weren't being recognized, and questions that wasn't being asked. Dmitri possessed no scientific training, no Geiger counter, no access to official channels. He understood only patterns, the ordinary rhythms of his city, the predictable behaviors of his neighbors, the normal appearance of springtime in Pripyat. What he noticed in those first hours was deviation. Small things failing to align, the world operating slightly off its axis. No evacuation announcement would come today, no warning sirens, no official acknowledgement that Reactor 4 had exploded 28 hours earlier, releasing radioactive material across a city built to house nuclear workers and their families. The Soviet system, designed for control, optimized for image management, would not admit catastrophe until the evidence became undeniable to foreign governments monitoring radiation across Europe. Dmitri had no way to force an evacuation, no authority, no proof beyond dead birds and metallic air. His father worked at the plant as an electrical engineer, but hadn't come home last night. No explanation, no phone call, just absence. His mother refused to discuss it, her silence carrying a quality Dmitri recognized as fear, performing as routine. The challenge: recognize a disaster invisible to the naked eye, confirm the danger without scientific instruments, convince people to abandon their homes based on nothing but pattern recognition and dead birds, and do all of this without causing panic that would bring unwanted attention from authorities who had already decided the official narrative. Dmitri was not brave. He was not special. He was simply someone who spent too much time watching birds, who knew the difference between sparrows that fell because they'd flown into windows and sparrows that fell because the air itself had turned against them. Sunday, April 27th, began with the same routines that structured every weekend in Pripyat. The explosion had occurred at 1:23 a.m. on April 26th. By dawn on the 27th, firefighters sent to contain the blaze were already dying. The reactor core burned exposed, ejecting radioactive particles into the atmosphere with every thermal current. Pripyat received no warning because acknowledging the disaster meant acknowledging failure. So instead, silence, routine. The appearance of normalcy maintained until external pressure forced acknowledgement. Dmitri descended the apartment stairs with deliberate slowness. counting each step, watching dust particles suspended in the stairwell light. They moved differently, heavier, like the air had thickened overnight into something with weight and texture. On the second-floor landing, he encountered Mrs. Kosenko, watering the communal plants she maintained with religious devotion. She looked up, smiled, continued pouring.
Good morning.
The philodendron leaves showed brown edges that hadn't been there Friday. Outside, the courtyard presented a scene of aggressive normalcy. Children had abandoned their football and now crouched near the building's east wall, poking at something with sticks. 7 dead birds arranged in a rough line. The boys had organized them by size, a child's instinct for classification applied to catastrophe. "They just fell," one said. "Anton thinks they're drunk on fermented berries." Dmitri wanted to tell them to wash their hands, to go inside, to stop touching things that fell from contaminated sky. Instead, he said, "Maybe you should show your mother." They looked at him like he'd suggested reporting clouds. The central market occupied Pripyat's commercial heart. Stalls arranged in geometric precision, offering vegetables trucked from collective farms, bread from the state bakery, occasional luxuries that appeared and vanished according to supply chains Dmitri had never understood. He walked the aisles slowly, pretending to shop, actually observing. The meat counter displayed chicken with skin that looked too grey. The woman selling mushrooms coughed into her hand, wet, rattling, then continued arranging her wares. Dmitri bought bread he didn't want, using the transaction as cover to ask the baker, "Busy today?" "Slow," she admitted. "People staying home. Strange. Just quiet. Like everyone's waiting for something." At the pharmacy, a line had formed, unusual for Sunday morning. Dmitri joined it, listening. The woman ahead of him requested iodine tablets. The pharmacist shook his head. "Sold out yesterday. Won't have more until Tuesday delivery." "What about potassium iodide?" "Also gone. May I ask why you need it?" The woman's face closed. "Preventive health." "Against what, specifically?" She didn't answer, purchased aspirin instead and left quickly, her shopping bag clutched tight against her body like a shield. Dmitri approached the counter. "The iodine. Who bought it all?" The pharmacist studied him with the particular wariness Soviets developed for questions that sounded too interested. "Plant workers' families, mostly. Thursday and Friday before the weekend. Now, is there something I can actually help you with, or are you conducting a survey?" "Just curious." Curiosity is not always healthy. Dmitri left understanding 3 things. Plant workers had known something was wrong at least 2 days before the explosion. Iodine protected against radiation absorption, and asking direct questions would get him identified as a problem. He needed indirect confirmation, observable evidence, something undeniable enough to overcome his mother's reflexive trust in official silence. The park near school number 5 offered his next laboratory. Dmitri sat on a bench, pulling out a notebook he carried for sketching birds, a hobby his father had encouraged. He began documenting. Temperature, unseasonably warm. Wind, minimal. Wildlife activity, none. No sparrows in the usual hedges. No crows patrolling the trash bins. The absence itself became data. A young woman sat down beside him, uninvited. She wore a nurse's uniform under a light jacket, her face carrying the exhausted pallor of someone finishing a night shift. She lit a cigarette with shaking hands. "You're Volkov's son," she said, not a question. "Yes. He's at Hospital 126, radiation exposure. They brought in 37 last night." She exhaled smoke that mixed with the metallic air. "I'm not supposed to talk about it, but you should know your father's alive. For now." Dmitri's throat constricted. "How bad?" "Bad enough they're transferring the worst cases to Moscow. The burns..." She stopped. Started again. "The reactor exploded. The core is exposed. They're telling us it's contained, but the readings..." Another drag on the cigarette. I live alone. I'm leaving today. My shift ended an hour ago and I'm already packed. You should tell your mother. She won't believe me. The nurse stood, dropped her cigarette, ground it under her heel with unnecessary force. Then show her this. She rolled up her sleeve. Her forearm showed a rash, red, angry, spreading. 12 hours in the emergency ward. This appeared at dawn. Now tell me, what explanation would you prefer? The official one, where everything is fine and I just coincidentally developed dermatitis? Or the one where the air is poison and we're all breathing it? She walked away before Dmitri could respond, her footsteps rapid against concrete. A woman racing against contamination she'd already absorbed. Dmitri returned to his apartment building carrying bread and certainty. The certainty felt heavier. His mother stood at the kitchen counter, slicing vegetables with mechanical precision. The radio now broadcasting a program about agricultural yields in Belarus. She didn't look up when he entered. "Your father called," she said. The knife continued its rhythmic work. "From the plant. He'll be staying another night. Equipment malfunction. Nothing serious." "Which hospital is he at?" The knife stopped. His mother's shoulders tensed, a physical reaction she couldn't control. "Who told you that?" "A nurse. She said Hospital 126. Radiation exposure." His mother set down the knife carefully, like it might detonate. When she turned, her face had arranged itself into an expression Dmitri recognized from childhood. The look that preceded punishment, disappointment, or both. "Listen to me very carefully. There are people spreading rumors, panic-mongering. Your father is fine. The situation is under control. Do you understand? There are dead birds everywhere. The air feels wrong. The pharmacy sold out of iodine 2 days ago. Enough." Her voice cut sharp. "We do not participate in hysteria. Your father has dedicated his career to that plant. The engineers know what they're doing. The authorities know what they're doing. A few birds dying does not constitute an emergency." What would constitute an emergency? She didn't answer. Instead, she returned to cutting vegetables, each slice now carrying violence. Dmitri understood he'd pushed against a wall, built from fear and institutional trust in equal measure. His mother had constructed a reality where everything was manageable, where the state protected its citizens, where her husband would come home with stories about overtime and minor equipment failures. He tried a different approach. "If I'm wrong, we waste a day. If you're wrong, you are 18 years old," she interrupted. "You do not understand how the world works. You do not understand what happens to families who spread destabilizing information. Your father's career, our apartment, your university placement, all of it depends on discretion. Do you want to throw that away because some nurse with a rash told you scary stories?" He went to his room, closed the door, and thought about what would constitute undeniable proof. By early afternoon, Dmitri had developed a mapping system. He walked Pripyat streets with his notebook, documenting observable anomalies in precise locations. Corner of Lenina and Kurchatova. 14 dead birds. 3 showing visible burns on wings. Park near school number 1. Children playing, but no dogs present. Unusual for Sunday. The dogs knew. Pharmacy on Sportivnaya. Closed handwritten sign claiming inventory. Near the Prometheus cinema, he encountered his former classmate Victor, now working as an apprentice electrician at the plant. Victor sat on a bench, staring at nothing, still wearing his work coveralls. His hands shook. "They sent us to the roof," Victor said without preamble, without looking at Dmitri. "Saturday morning. Told us to clear debris, graphite chunks the size of fists. We used shovels, no protective gear, just shovels and wheelbarrows. 90 seconds maximum exposure, they said. Get in, clear debris, get out. How many trips did you make?" 4. Victor's laugh came out wrong, strangled. 4 trips at 90 seconds each, 6 minutes total. They gave us certificates for heroism and dedication. Then they told us not to discuss it. State secret. But my skin... He pushed up his sleeve. The same angry rash Dmitri had seen on the nurse, spreading from wrist to elbow. This appeared during lunch. I asked the safety officer what it meant. He said allergic reaction. To what? I asked. He didn't answer. Are you leaving? Where would I go? My whole family is here. My job is here. The officials say it's safe. The engineers say it's contained. Who am I to argue with engineers? Victor stood, swaying slightly, and walked toward his building with the careful steps of someone navigating invisible obstacles. It announced itself at 4:17 p.m. The loudspeaker system crackled to life, the municipal announcement network used for holiday messages and civil defense drills. Dmitri was near the central square when the voice emerged, male, carefully modulated to project calm authority. Attention residents of Pripyat. Due to ongoing maintenance operations at the Chernobyl nuclear power plant, several safety protocols are being implemented. Children should remain indoors. Windows should be kept closed. Unnecessary outdoor activity should be avoided. These are temporary precautionary measures. There is no cause for alarm. Further updates will be provided as necessary. The square had been moderately populated. People shopping, walking, conducting ordinary weekend business. The announcement stopped them mid-stride. Dmitri watched faces process the information, watched the gap between no cause for alarm and children should remain indoors, create visible cognitive dissonance. The announcement repeated. Same words, same carefully neutral tone. Same implicit acknowledgement that something was wrong enough to warrant official notice, but not wrong enough to warrant honest explanation. Dmitri ran home. His mother stood frozen in the kitchen, still holding a dish towel, the radio now broadcasting the same announcement on loop. Her face had changed, the careful construction of normalcy cracking under official acknowledgement that something, however minimally described, was wrong. They wouldn't announce it if it wasn't serious, she said quietly. Then, louder, convincing herself, but they said no cause for alarm. They also said, keep children indoors and close windows, on the first warm Sunday in weeks. Dmitri moved to his room, pulled his school bag from the closet, began filling it with clothes. We're leaving, now, before everyone else realizes. Leaving to where? Your father is in Moscow by now or he's dying. Either way, we can't help him by staying here and breathing poison. The words came out harsher than he intended, but softness wouldn't penetrate the wall of her denial. Pack essentials, documents, money, medicine. We have maybe 2 hours before panic starts. His mother stood motionless, the dish towel still gripped in both hands like a talisman against chaos. Dmitri recognized the paralysis, the complete inability to act when every option felt wrong. He made it simple. The nurse who told me about father, she's already gone. Victor, who worked the roof cleanup, has radiation burns and doesn't even know it. I've counted over 60 dead birds in our district alone. The pharmacy sold out of iodine Thursday, 2 days before the official malfunction. People who work at the plant knew. They protected their families. We can protect ourselves, but only if we move now. Something in her face shifted. Not acceptance, resignation. She dropped the towel and walked to her bedroom. 20 minutes later, they stood at the bus station with 2 bags and approximately 300 rubles. The station showed signs of increased activity, not panic yet, but heightened tension. Families clustered near the schedule board, speaking in low voices. Dmitri approached the clerk. Next bus to Kiev, sold out. Next 3 buses sold out. Chernihiv, standing room only, departing in 40 minutes. He purchased 2 tickets. They waited near platform 3, his mother silent, staring at nothing. At 5:30 p.m., a police car arrived. 2 officers emerged and spoke with the station manager. Then the loudspeaker announced all outbound buses were delayed pending coordination with regional transport authorities. The word delayed transformed the station atmosphere instantly. Murmurs rippled through the waiting crowd, rising in volume and agitation. A teacher from school number 5 approached Dmitri, speaking low and fast. There's a train, freight route, but it stops at the industrial depot west of the city. Leaves at 6. My husband works the rails. He told me this morning before he left. Take your mother. Go now. She pressed a scrap of paper into his hand, directions to the depot, and disappeared into the crowd. Dmitri grabbed his mother's arm. We're not waiting. The industrial depot occupied Pripyat's western edge, a sprawl of warehouses and rail sidings used for plant equipment delivery. They arrived at 5:47 p.m., sweating despite the cooling evening, bags weighing heavy. 3 freight cars sat on the westbound track, one with its loading door partially open. Inside, Dmitri counted 8 people already hidden among crates and equipment. Plant workers, he guessed, recognizing the distinctive coveralls. A man wearing a conductor's uniform stood smoking near the engine. He watched Dmitri and his mother approach with the flat expression of someone who'd already made peace with rule breaking. Freight train, he said. No passenger authorization. Dmitri pulled out 50 rubles, a quarter of their remaining money. We weren't here. The conductor studied the money, then Dmitri's face, then his mother's terrified expression. He took the bills. 12-minute stop in Teremtsi. Passenger train to Kiev runs through there at 7:40. After that, you're on your own. They climbed into the freight car. The other passengers didn't speak, didn't acknowledge them, each locked in private calculations of risk and escape. The train lurched forward at exactly 6:00 p.m. and Pripyat slid away behind them. The apartment blocks still lit with ordinary evening routines. The amusement park's Ferris wheels standing motionless against darkening sky. The reactor's ventilation stack visible in the distance, releasing invisible poison into air that would carry it across borders, across nations, into rain that would fall on fields and forests for decades to come. His mother wept silently. Dmitri held her hand and watched the city disappear. They reached Teremtsi as promised, caught the Kiev train with minutes to spare, arrived in the capital at 10:15 p.m. and checked into a hotel that asked no questions. 2 days later, buses finally evacuated Pripyat. Official announcement came 3 days after the explosion. The evacuation was described as temporary. Residents were told to bring minimal belongings, that they'd return within days. Most never returned. Dmitri's father died in Moscow on May 14, 1986. Acute radiation syndrome, multiple organ failure. The state awarded him a medal, posthumously. Victor died 6 months later, leukemia. The nurse, whose name Dmitri never learned, no record found. His mother never fully recovered, not from radiation exposure, which remained minimal, but from the guilt of leaving. She developed insomnia that lasted years, would wake at 3:00 a.m., asking if they should have stayed, if they abandoned people who needed warning, if survival meant complicity. Dmitri had no answer that satisfied her, or himself. He moved to Kiev permanently in 1987, studied environmental science, married, had a daughter he taught to watch birds, to notice patterns, to trust observation over authority. He never returned to Pripyat, though he could have. The exclusion zone allowed supervised visits decades later. Tourists walking through frozen Soviet ruins, taking photographs of abandoned classrooms and rusting carnival rides. Some nights, even now, he stands at windows and watches birds, counts them, confirms they're flying properly, landing correctly, behaving as birds should. The paranoia never fully fades, nor should it. He survived because he noticed wrongness before it became undeniable. That noticing cost him everything familiar and saved his life simultaneously. There is no triumph in this, only survival. Only the knowledge that institutions will protect themselves before they protect you. That official reassurance can be lethal, and that sometimes the only rational response to authority saying, "Remain calm," is to run. The dead birds were trying to tell him something. He listened. That was both his heroism and his burden.